In the first episode of our 16-day adventure, we cross a border, buy some meat, and see some rhinos. Stay tuned as we share some shopping secrets and advice on how to avoid a horrible border crossing. For our first day, the plan of action was simple. Leave Big Fig Oasis as early as possible, cross the border into Botswana, refuel at the gas station just outside the border, and then head to Porcupine to stock up on supplies, and arrive at our camp for the night at Khama Rhino Sanctuary as early as possible so that we can still do a game drive. Our adventure began at Big Fig Oasis, off the N11 and less than 4 kilometers from the Groblersbrug border crossing, where we met up with people from across South Africa. Nestled under a big fig tree, you will find overnight accommodation in air-conditioned chalets, a camping site with 15 stands on lush grass under large shady trees, all equipped with electricity. You will also find a liquor store and the Big Fig Cafe that serves delicious breakfast and light lunches throughout the day. The convenience store would provide you with the basic supplies and necessities. We gathered around the campfire after everyone had settled in to go through the whats and whens for the upcoming 2 weeks. We discussed the basics, including where will we resupply, fuel breaks, convoy travel and border crossings. You only get one opportunity to try something new, and for some people this would be their first time trying an adventure of this kind, so they had no idea what to anticipate. There were many questions, and each one was expected to have an answer within the next 2 weeks. Just keep in mind that anything can change suddenly while you are exploring Africa, so be ready for anything and everything. The rest of the evening was spent getting to know each other, and we could not wait for the next morning when our adventure would officially start. Day started early, and we made our way to the border. The side of the road was lined with cargo trucks heading up north from just outside Big Fig all the way to the border. In less than an hour, we crossed both borders. The same principle applies to all border crossings, and they are not as frightening as one may believe. Just make sure you have the correct documentation. Basically, you only need 2 documents, your passport and your car registration papers. Your passport must have room for the stamps and be valid for at least 6 months. A copy of your vehicle registration document will do. If the car isn't registered in your name, you'll need the registered owner's written consent to drive it across the border. You will receive a cross-border letter from your bank if the car is still being financed. Contrary to popular belief, only the bank require insurance if the car or trailer is still being financed and is not a requirement to cross a border. Call your insurance and request a cross-border letter from them, so that you can provide it to the bank before requesting this from them. The bank will need this in order to verify that your vehicle is insured. Your bank will send you a copy of your registration paper and a cross-border letter after you have submitted your insurer's cross-border letter. You don't need anything else for the border. The person behind the counter is a person just like you and is there to do a job. Be friendly, have a chat with them. It would make the process so much easier. Importing certain goods into Botswana has long been prohibited, particularly uncooked meat and some fresh produce, in order to stop the spread and outbreak of foot and mouth disease. In addition to this, Botswana welcomes us as visitors so that we can see the wonders of the country. It is an excellent way to support the economy by shopping locally as a token of appreciation. In Botswana, you won't have any trouble finding fantastic, fresh goods because most of the major towns have stores that we are all familiar with. If you do your homework, you might discover something as special as braai.
wou net sê, as jy 'n klerewinkel is, dan is jy dag hoor.
Soek sy 'n klerewinkel.
Net asseblief skoene. Nee, ek het net skoene gekoop. Wat my voete gaan toe nie.
Maar jy gaan vleis.
Louis, verduidelik vir ons wat hier aangaan.
Ons het nou vleis bestel
Ja.
by
Fok, kom ons braai. Ja.
soos het die vleis in Suid-Afrika bestel, hulle die vleis vir ons gevacuum en verpak en nou het ons dit kom oplaai hierso. Hulle het ons eintlik gaan soek by die junction.
Nice, is dit hoekom dit in die kar is?
Dis kom dit in die kar is, maar nou het ons hulle hier gekry. Ja.
Kyk.
A local butcher shop in Palapaya called Fok braai offers excellent priced, very high quality meat. You can place your order with them before you leave for Botswana, and once you arrive there, you can pick it up from them, all packaged and prepared how you choose. After stocking up with supplies from the many shops in Palapaya and refueling, we were back on the road again. Khama Rhino Sanctuary would be our first camp in Botswana. We didn't pick Khama because of the quality of the chalets or the ablution facilities there. We chose Khama for the rhinos. Sadly, I've read several negative reviews of Khama Rhino Sanctuary. While we were there, in fact, an international couple caused quite an uproar at the reception because the air conditioning unit in their chalet wasn't working. They made it obvious that they would never return to Khama and demanded a refund. When people travel to Botswana, the typical mistake is expecting 5-star accommodation and 5-star service, but we still want the country to seem wild. We visit places without bathrooms, and that is acceptable, but when you go to a place like Khama, you tend to overlook the opportunity to see rhinos in favor of something more unimportant like a broken shower head. One of the relatively few areas in Botswana where rhinos can be seen is in Khama. Khama Rhino Sanctuary was established out of concern for the declining rhino population. It is now run by village people as a community tourism project. Early in 1980s, rhino poaching had become more severe in Botswana, and both white and black rhinos were in danger of going extinct. The Khama Rhino Sanctuary was founded in 1989 and welcomed their first visitors in 1993. There were reportedly only 4 rhinos left in Botswana at that time. In an effort to protect them from poachers, these rhinos were relocated from the delta. Sadly, one of them was hurt by poachers and passed away soon after getting to Khama. A black rhino from Zimbabwe and 8 white rhinos from South Africa were donated. There were 40 white rhinos and 4 black rhinos in Khama in 2018. The Delta region then received 20 rhinos for relocation. There are currently between 150 and 160 rhinos in Botswana, with about 45 of them in Khama. The Botswana Defence Force has a base camp inside the reserve specifically devoted to the security of the rhinos, and the rhinos in Khama are under their constant observation 24 hours a day. There are well over 30 different animal species in Khama, including the leopard and brown hyena, and over 230 different bird species. Each of the 22 campsites at Khama has a fireplace, a water tap, and there are 2 shared restrooms. There is a restaurant and a tiny curio shop where you may get your basic supplies. Driving is fairly simple at Khama. Some areas have deep sand, yet a 2x4 vehicle can get through them by simply maintaining momentum. Malema Pan should definitely be visited because you will almost surely see some rhinos there. We had some very good sightings while we were at the watering hole. Make sure that you have an early dinner and book a game drive. That way you can be picked up from your campsite and taken on an unforgettable experience. You will have a personal guide who is quite knowledgeable about the sanctuary and the animals. Seeing some of the predators at night is highly likely. Sadly, we did not spot any, but we will most certainly return soon in the hopes of seeing one of the 10 leopards or the brown hyenas. Keep an eye out for episode 2, where we head to the magical Kubu Island for the second day in our Botswana adventure.